I started my podcast and then I looked again because I didn't see anything. And guess what? I shut the whole podcast off. So, guys, if you are on this podcast, I'm actually going to post a video live on Facebook after I'm done. And then I'm going to post it also on um, my social media sites. And I might actually upload it to my website because I just realized that I shut off my live video on my Podbean account. So I'm sorry, guys. You are joining us for number 6 on my website, all about special education. And then again, you can see the live videos. I'll upload them, when I shut it off. I can't believe I did that. Long day at work. All right. So number 6, let's talk about academic grades and attendance. All right. I put this on here for a reason. Your kids have to come to school. Your kids have to go to school, guys. I've encountered numerous parents who just don't understand the importance of sending their kids to school. Here's the thing. When it comes to testing, we don't know if your child's educational deficits, delays, or challenges is due to them truly having concerns at school versus not getting their education because they're not at school. You see that? And so we have to be sure. If your kids are absent from school for 30 days in 3 months, we can't say that their educational concerns are due to a disability. They cannot do that because we also have to abide by law, right? Educational laws. We have to make sure that, there isn't anything interfering with their education. For example, even their vision, even their hearing. Those things get in the way. Some of you aren't taking your kids to get hearing checks and vision checks. If they can't see, they can't see the whiteboard. If they can't hear, they can't hear their teacher. So they're having trouble learning. If they are not at school, how do you expect them to perform at the level that they should if they're absent all the time? I have deemed kids either non-disabled or not eligible for testing because the kids didn't come to school. Just because they didn't come to school. You got to send them to school. If it's truly a disability, we have to say that they've had X amount of days. Trying to think of exactly how this goes. They've had X amount of days in school, and that is not, and we have to say that it's not interfering, that's not something like, I can't think of exactly how it goes right now, but I can see it on the IEP paperwork, at least for Illinois. And you guys can chime in here. I'm just losing my thought for that part. I can see it, but I can't remember how it goes. You can't actually say that their deficits are due to anything more but the fact that they have a disability. So we have to be able to say that they were in school. Their absenteeism is not interfering in their education. And if they are absent, we cannot say that. Does that make sense? I hope it does. The bottom line is send your kids to school. Send your kids to school. Being in school not only will increase their academic standing and grades, but their mental health, and that includes their emotional health. If they're in school after being gone for 30 to 60 days, they're going to be lost. Their self-esteems are going to go down. They're going to feel confused in school. And that is because you're not sending them to school. And guess what? Mental health gets in the way of academics as well. We were just talking about hearing and vision screenings, which is number 7. So good segue into number 7. They've got to pass their vision and hearing screenings. And I'm sorry, if your school psych is making your kid eligible from testing without them having passed hearing and vision screenings, I will scream. They are not supposed to do that. You have to have past vision and hearing screenings. Now, I always think this is common sense, right? But sometimes common sense is not that common. It's truly not. You all know that. If your kids can't hear, how are they learning in school? If they can't see, how are they learning in school again? If they have trouble seeing, how will they see the blocks when we give them to them for IQ tests? If they have trouble hearing, they may not be able to hear directives during testing. It's the same thing that applies in school. Take your kid to an audiologist or optometrist or ophthalmologist, an eye surgeon, so that they can pass these things. If your kids, let's say, have fluid all the way down in their ears, it's going to impact their speech, it's going to impact their learning, it's going to impact their self-esteem, all because they do not hear in a manner that they are supposed to. And we do not or should not, if it has happened, test kids that have failed vision and hearing screenings. Once these things are corrected, and mind you, if your kids are going to be tested, we have in Illinois 60 days to test those kids, then that's enough time to get their vision and their hearing screenings passed. Please do that. Please do that. Mental health is number 8. How do you know your kid needs tested? Mental health can impact a child's education. I've seen so many parents who refuse to get their kids services in mental health. They're afraid their kids are going to be stigmatized for receiving mental health services. They're afraid that I don't know. Sometimes I look at parents and go, what are you afraid of with mental health? My God, why would you want your kids having these symptoms all day, especially in school? Why? That's a big question mark. Some of these kids that I used to encounter could barely function because they're crying all day, or barely function because they're hearing voices and they're in the bathrooms hiding because they can't deal with their voices or the anxiety that they're going through. Switching classes is just too much for some of these kids. And you call the parents and they want their kids tested, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, okay, well, right now the mental health is getting in the way. We can start the process. We can have meetings, but if it's not going to address the issue, then what's the purpose? There is no purpose, because all I'm going to do if I'm the school psych is say, nope, no testing. We have things that we need to intervene on first. And that's the important thing to do. There are things that can be done once these kids are having services for mental health other than testing. So, for example, if a child has depression, and it's significantly impacting their education, you don't have to jump to testing. We don't have an educational category for depression. There's some things that we can kind of fit it into, which I'm not going to blast publicly, but we can also do a 504 plan if it's getting in the way. Schools can put in interventions, the general education team, and be responsible. That's what the 504 plan is. So, you can do all that, but you guys have to understand that kids have concerns with mental health as well and can benefit, from help for their mental health concerns. Again, once you've done everything you can to help your kids, that's when we start looking at, well, what else can we do other than a 504 plan, for example? Can we, determine if we test, Will we be able to determine a disability? Maybe. But you have to do your part for your kids as well. Number 9. I just want to scream this one. Trust your teachers. Trust them. You send them to school, they're in their classrooms all day. During the week, teachers spend more time with your kids than you do. They are your primary contact for how your kid is doing in school. My kids' teachers don't hear from me at all. I don't bother them unless I have a need to, right? However, my teachers know that they can contact me, and if I need something, I'm the first one on the horn contacting them. They know that. Do your teachers' kids know that? Because they should. You have to trust them. Not only are they with your kids all day, they are collecting data about your kids. They have the progress monitoring that we talked about. They have their classwork. They have your kids' decision making. They have all of that stuff. They know what works to manage your kids' behavior. They know what your kid is conditioned to do in class. They know your child's academic strengths and weaknesses. They know your kids. That is your go-to person when it comes to understanding observations of your child's academic status. They are directly involved with the special education team. They are a part of it. They want to be a part of it. Teachers rock, I'm telling you. They rock because they're the people that can truly help your child. Some teachers won't go the route of testing because they feel as if they want to put interventions in place to help your child, right? So you count on your teachers. They can help you with the decisions, academic decisions that your child needs. They are also good with giving you strategies to help your child. If I ask my kids' teachers, for example, for more work because my kids are busy, just busy. Like one of them, she just talks a lot. I don't know where she gets that from, but she just talks a lot. And I'm always like, okay, does she need more work? That's what my mom did. My mom made my teachers give me stacks of work when I was a kid to shut me up. Again, I don't know where she gets it from. It's not me. But that's what I'm talking about. You can contact them. Teachers will respond to you. Actually, teachers get disappointed when parents don't talk to them. Ask a teacher, they'll tell you, we want parents to talk to us. We want you guys to come to, oh my God, parent teacher conference. That's a good time to understand what's going on with your kids because the teachers will tell you if they feel as if your kids need testing. And that will help you to determine which way you want to go with getting your child assessed. That's a good thing. All right. The 10th point is school data. From all of these comments, what you're doing is collecting data about your child's education. What's going on with it? Strengths, weaknesses, observations, behavior reports, absenteeism, everything. All of this data. And what we do with all of that data is we are going to use it to determine whether or not your kid needs testing. Now, with that data, it has to look a certain way for us to say yes and agree that testing needs to be done. So when I say it needs to look a certain way, it needs to look as if everything that we're doing, including you at home, is just not working. And it's been a certain period of time, not 30 days, not 60 days, but a certain period of time. And so when it's all not working, then we can probably move to testing. And that's how you know. So data over time is going to show a continuous range of discrepancies in your child's education, despite interventions, despite everything that you're doing, despite everything that's happening in school. The baseline for your child's behavior has remained the same, not just behavior, but academics has remained the same. I'm a behaviorist, so I always think about behaviors. No matter what's being done, it's just the same. And that's when you start talking about testing. And that's also when the school will start talking to you about testing. So keep all of those things in mind. Do your part. Make sure you are constantly contacting the school, especially if you notice some things happening. Please don't wait until your kids are 10 and 12 to get some interventions going. Please don't do that. When you do that, you are delaying your kids' ability to learn at the level that they need. Some people can actually wait too late. And I am going to say late. Some people will have an issue with me saying late. I don't care. Late. Fifth grade is late. It's late. Early intervention is best. If you don't get help when they're really little, like 3 to 5, then as soon as you can. That includes mental health. You want to jump on these things. You don't want to wait. Like, I don't want to see a 10-year-old reading at a fifth grade, a 5-year-old level. You don't want to do that to your kids. You don't want them to be 10 years old reading at a 5-year-old level. So when they're 5, get the interventions necessary. If they need testing, it's okay. Have them tested. After the interventions are done, after you do your part, get them tested. See what's going on. I love parents that are very proactive with these situations, because being proactive is what helps your child grow and learn and get the help needed, so that maybe by the time they're 10, they don't need special education services anymore. So that's what I want to see. If you guys have more questions about testing, I can go deeper into it, but those are kind of like the questions that I get. And there are more, but I had to pick and choose. So if you want more questions answered, just let me know. Maybe we can go into how to read some of the data that you get. I'll be willing to do that as well next time. So just let me know in your questions. Next week, we'll talk about my top 10 picks for school games for children with ADHD. ADHD is another condition that I like to talk about, so I'm excited to talk about that. That is fun stuff. Thank you so much for joining me again. My podcast, I'm going to upload the video because Dr. Lisa did not turn her podcast on, but it is on Facebook, and I'll set it to public. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. You have a wonderful rest of the week. Bye-bye.